That's a pretty freaking ugly position, isn't it? I bet you're one of those people that's had it at one point. Maybe you still have it, or maybe you know somebody that has it and you want to be able to help them, right? So today, you and me, and whoever you're watching this video for, are gonna go for a ride. We're gonna talk to you about why this is actually happening in your golf swing. And more importantly, I'm gonna talk to you about how to start fixing this thing once and for all. And this, my friends, is a very, and I mean very, pesky fault. We noticed that a lot of you are watching the videos and have not yet subscribed to the channel. So please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you like today's video, big thumbs up for us. It's good for my psyche, it's good for you and I, and good for the channel. And if you have any questions or comments on what we're working on today, please feel free to post those up below. I will answer every question that pops up along the way. I will help you out to the best of my ability. I love to teach golf and I love to help you guys get better at the game of golf. And so you have to have all of that stuff in your brain answered before you start to go work on things. Let's get to work. There are so many people that actually do this in the world of golf, and it happens because it's from all of your trail side dominance that you have in your golf swing. But that's okay. I want you to be able to use your trail side in your golf swing because that's the way that you feel like you can transfer power from your body out through the arm and out through the club. But if you train your lead side what it should be doing and how to do it properly, then what you're doing is now you're giving yourself a platform for your trail hand and arm to ride on. And you can think of your trail arm at first as being kind of like a passive conduit that's helping you transfer energy from your body, but it's following along with what your lead side is doing. And I know that's a hard concept for a lot of you because when you're done this drill today, you're gonna feel maybe a little bit out of control and you're gonna feel a little less powerful through the arms, but you're gonna see better positions and you're gonna see that you can hit little shots that go a long ways because of the way that I'm gonna be teaching you to use your arms down through the bottom of the swing arc. So that's pretty cool, huh? Okay, so let's get to work. Let's understand exactly why this is happening. So when I say trail side dominance, if you were to put your arms in front of your body and you didn't turn your shoulders or your chest, and you pushed your trail arm across your center, so this being my center, what is your trail, or what is your lead arm going to do? Well, it's going to break. Once you start that process from the top of the golf swing, you're not gonna stop. Now let's talk about why you would actually do such a thing. Because the subconscious sometimes is a really beautiful thing, and sometimes it's a giant pain in the katukas, okay? It is. But you have to remember that the golf swing is a big series of movements that has a lot of compensations built into it based off of how you're moving into and through positions. And so when you see that position happening at the bottom of the swing arc, you see your trail arm breaking away, well, you know that you started to put a lot of force on the golf club very early. You started to push the golf club up here. And when you start pushing up here, like I just said a moment ago, you ain't gonna stop it. You start that process because you feel like that's your means of being able to accelerate the golf club. You feel like that's your means to be able to square the face. What do I mean by that? Well, in a golf swing, or most golf swings that you see work efficiently, their hands come down in front of their body and they have this angle between their wrists and their forearms. And what this angle is, this is your good source of leverage that we turn into a bunch of speed. But we have to square the face from here, okay? And so we have two options. I can take my wrists and my forearms and I can supinate my lead wrist and rotate it in unison and I can square the face, okay? Or I can take my wrists and I can start to flip my wrists. A lot of you have seen this position before, but look at the club face behind the golf ball. It is square. But if you look at where my hands are in relationship to the golf ball, where are they? Well, they're behind it. This is the reason why you're watching this video in the first place. And so what your lead side has to do at this very moment, as soon as you start that process of adding your speed up here and trying to square the face, is your lead shoulder and your lead arm and your lead wrist and forearm and your lead hand have to start getting really resistant. Now what I mean by resistant is that when you come down and you already have the face trying to rotate shut and you got your path working out to in, if you let the club release, like we're gonna be working on today, you, my friends, would hit the golf ball left of the world. It wouldn't even be on the golf course. It would be left of the hotel. It would be left of the barn. It would be left of everywhere. You get it? So what your lead arm and your lead shoulder are actually doing in this moment is they're helping kind of rebalance your equation, helping you keep things a little bit more down the middle. But when you do that, when you create that resistance and you're and you're slowing things down through your arms, then you're ultimately going to be slowing the club down. We want to speed things up. We want to get things going as fast as we possibly can. We don't want to hang on for dear life. Okay, so that's what we're going to be working on today, is we're going to be working on getting away from all of that tension and all of that resistance. And I'm going to get you to train your wrist and your forearm what it should be doing from one side of the body to the other. But I'm also going to give you a little tip and a very important thing for you to think about when it comes to your elbow as it's working down in front of your body. There's a lot of golf instruction out there that misses this piece, and it could potentially put you in harm's way. And we're not here to hurt anybody when it comes to the game of golf. Now that we have a better understanding of what's actually causing this ugly position to happen in the first place, now we need to have a plan to start working through. And I'm going to work through this in 3 different segments at first. And I'm going to do it without the golf club, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, your body is in control of what the golf club is doing. The golf club will respond to your body movements. It will respond to the inputs that you give it. First things first, we're going to train the lead arm to be tension-free and to be able to move from one side of the body to the other. And we're going to do that by thinking about our shoulder being relaxed and being a pivot point that's nailed to a wall. So I want you to go ahead and take your setup, and I want you to have a bulk of your weight on your lead foot. 80 to 90% of your weight over here on the lead foot is perfectly fine. I want your lead arm hanging freely from your shoulder. We're not going to be thinking about wrist and forearm function here at all. We're just going to be doing some reps where we allow our arm to swing back and forth, very relaxed. And we're going to keep this lead arm passively straight. It's not ramrod straight. It's just swinging back and forth underneath this pivot point that I've got nailed to a wall. Okay? I'm swinging it back and forth. Once you can do this and your tension levels are down, you're ready to start stacking in the second piece. You're going to work at the pace that you feel comfortable with. The second piece is going to be based off of what you're seeing with the wrist and the forearm. If you look at my wrist and my forearm as it goes back outside my body, outside my trail leg, you can see that my watch is facing directly out in front of you. I want you to now let your arm swing through, and I want your watch or your glove logo to be facing directly behind you. So you're going to allow your arm to swing back and forth now, and let your wrists and your forearm rotate from pointed out in front of you to pointed behind you. Keeping your tension levels down through your arm and through your wrist. It does not take a lot of muscular effort to get your wrist and your forearm to rotate as I'm teaching you. Now, once you can do this, you're ready for the third component. And this is the piece that a lot of you might not have heard in the past because instructors don't understand this. Very important when you're drilling this, when we bring the golf club back in your hands, that you keep your elbow pointed down the target line until after contact. You can rotate your wrist and your forearm independently from the upper part of your arm here. Something that's extremely confusing when it comes to golf instruction and why we use these terminologies in the first place is internal and external humerus rotation, right? So if I take my lead arm and I hold it directly out in front of my body and I wipe my arm away from my body, this would be considered external rotation of my humerus. When you look at the elbow position, this is where it's kind of counterintuitive. To make that happen down here in front of our body, okay, the elbow kind of turns in towards our body. So it almost feels like internal rotation when in fact it's external rotation. Now, if you allow your elbow to turn in towards your body at or before the point of contact, then you are going to put all of the load when the club is going down, and you're going to put your arm into a hyperextended position, and it's going to hurt your elbow over time. This is why people have a lot of issues with their elbows or their other joints, is because we're not cognizant of that when we pass along information to students. When you're working on a change, yes, we want to work on new movement, but we want to work on things in a way that you can do these for extended periods of time and not have to sit on the sidelines because you're injured. You get what I'm saying? So now, your third piece here, and the way that I would train this without the golf club, is I want you to feel like your elbow stays pointed down the target line until it gets past your lead foot. So now you're going to keep your arms swinging, and you're going to think about your elbow staying pointed down the target line until it gets out past your lead foot, and your wrist and your forearm are going to rotate simultaneously. I know it's a lot to think about, so take your time and just do it right. Okay, you'll be able to work at a pace very comparable to mine once you get proficient with it. The key is not to be tense from one side of the body to the other. The key is to keep the elbow pointed down the line as long as you can and get the wrist and the forearm to rotate from one side of the body to the other. When you can do that, and you can sit there and have a conversation with me about what you had for breakfast, you're ready for showtime and you're ready to start bringing the club back in. Okay, so now we are ready to bring the golf club back in the mix, but when we do this, there's some things that are gonna change. We're gonna add in a little bit of body movement here because under no circumstance am I teaching you an arm swing. We have to be able to use the body to help move the hands and the arms through the point of contact into the finish. And so what we're gonna be doing here is just using a little bit of pressure shift here. And I want you to keep it simple. I don't want you to overthink this and start clouding up your brain and having your tongue hanging out of your mouth and smoke coming out of your ears because there's too much going on. So the cues that you're gonna hear me say here are gonna be trail ankle, lead ankle, let the arm swing. That little pressure from one side to the other is all I want you to be able to use when you're first starting out this. So what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and take your setup and you're gonna hold the club lead arm only. And I want you to have your grip pressure in the back 3 fingers of your lead hand. You wanna hold it lightly. You can have a little bit of pressure here, but try your best to keep your tension levels as light as you can. For those of you that are gonna feel like the club is too heavy to move from one side of the body to the other, you can choke down on the club just a little bit. Okay, you can go all the way down to the shaft if you need to. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna still stay focused on what we're feeling from the lead shoulder down to the lead wrist into the fingers, and we're gonna make sure that we keep that arm moving from one side of the body to the other, and we're gonna check our reps every single rep that we do. So trail ankle, lead ankle, let the arm swing. Stop, check the position. Start the process over. Trail ankle, lead ankle, let the arm move. Check the position, make sure it's right. Keep doing this for several reps, building as much awareness, making sure the movements are done correct. Okay? Now, once you've started to get the hang of it, just like you would in any of the videos that I've done in the past, we start stacking in pieces. Those reps that you're doing at front are just to create the awareness. They're kind of like me holding your hand in public. Create awareness, do it slow and broken down, and then build yourself up. We're gonna bring the trail hand back to the mix here, but we're gonna do this exact sort of protocol at first before we start ramping up the speed. So when I bring the trail hand back to the golf club, here's how I like to do business here. We're gonna do a lead arm only swing. Okay, we're gonna keep our head and chest back here behind the golf ball, and we're gonna go get it with our right hand. And we're gonna hold this position static for a second. You're gonna feel a little bit of side bend. You're gonna feel a little bit of discomfort if you're not used to this position. And you're gonna feel like in order for you to go get the club with your right hand, you had to kind of pull your lead arm back to the body. This position, I want you to feel and hold it static for a second because you're gonna move back to it. Scrub back to an address position and now swing back to that spot and hold it. Does it feel exactly the same? Yes. Then you know you just did that rep 100% right. How you get to that spot is by focusing on what the lead arm and the lead shoulder are doing with one another, creating a better platform for your trail hand to ride along with. Remember what I said, your trail hand and arm are going to be a conduit that's transferring energy from your body for you without you having to actively do anything with it. Now, when you get to a point where you're really proficient with this movement, then you can start using your trail hand and arm as a way to be able to help add some speed to it. But for now, when you've got the training wheels on, do not allow it to disrupt what you're trying to get done on the lead side. I don't care if you're a trail side person or a lead side person, you can train movement patterns exactly the way that I'm training you. You get it? Capiche? So now, when you've done reps like this, you can start bringing in the golf ball. I always encourage people to get the golf ball or a foam ball in there on the sooner side. You need to challenge your subconscious that you can do this with a ball being present. Don't just sit there and do 12 million reps at home without trying to bring the ball back in the mix. Challenge. Otherwise, what you're gonna have is this really nice practice swing, and when the golf ball gets there, your subconscious is gonna go berserk. So I'm gonna show you the exact processes on how I would do things when you start out when you're trying to add the ball back to the mix. Follow this exact plan, and you're gonna be in the business. So we're gonna do trail ankle, lead ankle, arm swings, go get it, come back to address, make a little baby swing. Don't take a lot of time, focus on what you just felt. Get to that same spot. Now, what you're gonna find when you start doing this, the golf ball goes a long freaking ways without you having to do a whole lot. That golf ball right there, it was a little heavy, actually went probably 70, 80 yards on that little tiny swing. Okay, let's do it again. We're gonna do a lead arm only swing, little pressure, go get it. Feel that position right there. come back and move to that spot. Okay? Stay focused on what you're feeling. Okay? Really good contact. Ball went about 100 yards on a little small swing. Now, over the next few weeks, you can start to move yourself a little bit longer and a little bit longer. Be disciplined in the process. Understand that your movement starts in a condensed format and then add to it as you get more proficient with it. And before you know it, you're gonna be making swings where you can do it in this neck of the woods. That little small swing there just went about, wait till it comes down, about 150, 160 yards with a 7-iron. So work on this stuff the right way and get rid of that ugly chicken wing and that flipperoni that you have once and for all. Take your time, get connected to the movements, make sure that you understand creating the proper movement is going to allow the trail hand and arm to come back to, and it will not disrupt the processes any longer, and you'll start hitting the golf ball way further and way more consistent. Get out there and have some fun.